Are you troubled by strange noises in the middle of the night? Do you experience feelings of dread in your basement or attic? Have you or a member of your family ever seen a spook, specter, or ghost? If the answer is yes, then you know why I'm dressed like this. Today on Cosplay Gourmet, we are doing a Ghostbuster episode. We are going to start off by making Twinkies, so I'm going to tell you about those Twinkies. Following the Twinkies, we are going to be making our own marshmallows, not quite the Stay Puft variety, but we are going to try to assemble the Form of the Destructor. So, be prepared, and we are ready to believe you. Welcome back to Cosplay Gourmet. Today we are doing Twinkies. I got this Hostess Twinkie set off Amazon.com. It came with the Twinkie pan that makes 8 Twinkies. Same size that you would get at the grocery store or wherever else you buy Twinkies. We also got a pastry bag that came with 5 additional tips for the cream filling. The ingredients you're going to need is 1.5 cups of flour, 1 teaspoon baking powder, 1 cup or 8 tablespoons of butter, 1 cup of sugar, a half a teaspoon of salt, 3/4 cup milk, 2 eggs and 1 egg yolk, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and I also have some baking greasing spray to grease the pan. So to start, we're going to grease the pan. And set that aside. Then we need to preheat the oven to 350 degrees. Okay, we are going to start today by combining our dry ingredients. We're going to be sifting together our 1.5 cups of flour, the 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and the salt. So, it doesn't have to be too precise, we're just trying to loosen up the ingredients so that they mix together thoroughly. So 1 teaspoon baking powder and the salt. So once they all get sifted, we're just going to give them an extra swirl. Okay, and those are set for now. And we're going to move over to our mixer. If you have a hand mixer, that's fine. If you actually just need to use a spatula, a spoon, you're going to have a tired arm. So first things first is we are going to cream the sugar, which is just combining the 1 stick of softened, unsalted butter, by the way. And shove that in there. And you're just going to put it on low to a medium. Should be pretty loose. And then I'm going to put in the cup of sugar. Okay. And I'm going to put up the speed a little bit here. Okay. And I'm going to wait until those two are well combined. Once the butter and the sugar are well combined, you're going to add the eggs. So just over a low speed. Going to dump those in, and then I'm also going to measure out the vanilla extract. So put a little extra. Okay, I'm just going to boost that up a little bit for a minute or two. Then I'm going to add the milk. Okay. I'm going to turn this off for a second, and I'm going to scrape the attachment and the sides of the bowl. Okay. Turn that back on to a slow to medium speed. Start adding in my dry ingredients. Turn this back down to low. And just a little bit at a time. With this recipe, you have to be careful not to overmix your ingredients. So really, once you get all those dry ingredients in there, just wait until they're combined and then turn it off. Scrape down the sides, mix it all till it's ready. You should have a pretty nice, smooth, pretty thick consistency for batter. Okay, so now we're just going to be transferring our batter into my pan. I was actually planning on using a little batter dispenser I haven't got to try out yet, but this is actually pretty thick, so I think I'm going to have to just use kind of a scooper. So, just going to fill up my scooper, clean off the sides so I don't drip it anywhere, and then just trying to get an even disbursement of my batter. Just filling the last one here, and I'm filling these about 3/4 of the way full. And once these are all prepared, then I'm going to put them in the oven for about 15 minutes. During that time, they should get pretty golden. You don't want them to be too golden though, and kind of soft and spongy to the touch. And our 15 minutes are done, so I'm just going to go ahead and grab the pan out of the oven. And looks like they pooped up a little bit, but they're nice and golden around the edge, which means it's probably going to be the color they are on the other side too. We just want to have them rest on the racks for now, about 10 minutes if they cool down a little bit, and then we're going to flip them over and have them rest in the pans. Just the nature of the cake rising, it looks like they came out a little bit fluffier than they should have. It's a simple fix. All I'm going to do is once they cool, I'm going to cut off the tops, and then we'll be able to fill them and enjoy them from there. They did turn out the perfect amount of gold from the 15 minutes cooking on 350. The Twinkies have now cooled, so I'm going to take them out of the pan. And as I'm going through this process, I'm just taking off that extra layer so that they'll lay flat and be perfect for filling. So I'm just taking a butter knife, and they're coming out very easily. And then I'm just putting them down on a cutting board, taking a sharp knife, and just easily slicing through them. And I'm actually going to save all this excess, because I'm pretty sure I'm going to have leftover cream when we go to make that. And I'll probably make little sandwiches. Now that the Twinkies are cooling, we are ready to make the cream filling. So for this, we are going to need 3 cups of confectionery sugar, 1 to 2 tablespoons of a heavy cream or whipping cream, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and 1 cup or 2 sticks of butter. So we are going to just start by taking our softened, unsalted butter and and putting it into a bowl. And we're just going to start by whisking it with the powdered sugar. And once we have those two combined, then we're going to add the other ingredients. So I'm just going to start by blending up a little bit of the butter before I add the sugar. This is pretty much going to make a buttercream filling. It's pretty similar. And I'm not going to add all the sugar at once. I'm just going to start by combining it in probably, quarter at a time. Just because you don't want to make too much of a mess. Alright, the mix was getting a little bit thick, so I did move from the whisk to a spoon. Just to a little bit, get it combined. It wasn't getting all caught in it. Now I'm just going to add the other ingredients. So, 1 teaspoon of vanilla. New bottle. And 1 tablespoon of the whipping cream, and then I'm going to combine them and then possibly add another tablespoon of the whipping cream, depending on how the consistency works out. The mixture is still pretty thick, so I'm going to add another tablespoon of the cream. A little bit more. Oh yeah, that looks like it'll be good. So my vanilla cream has turned out excellent. Just did a little bit of a taste test. It's right where I want it to be. But if you aren't a big fan of vanilla cream, there are other options. The recipe book actually came with several other recipes that look delicious. One of them was a marshmallow fluff mixture. There's also a chocolate mixture. And another great option is mixing them with a preserve or jam. Could also be very good. Now that we have our frosting, we're ready to fill. I tried using the pastry bag that came with the set, but it seems like the tip that I thought would be the most appropriate, it's extremely hard to get out. So you'd have to be very cautious of the consistency of the frosting that you use. Probably add a little bit more of the heavy cream. But as an alternative, I do have this cupcake injector tool, which seemed to work out a lot better. This again, something purchased on Amazon. Very handy. So, fill this up, and I'm just going to take 3 of the locations and squirt about as much as I can in there, really. It's probably going to work out to be about a teaspoon and a half to a tablespoon per bowl. And I'm just filling them up till they almost come out the top. And done. The Twinkies are now filled. I, as expected, had a supply of frosting that's going to be left over. I even had some additional frosting to make the sandwiches like I had discussed. So in addition to some of the Twinkies, I got a couple of vanilla devil dogs. I think this is a great option for Twinkie lovers that appreciate the old Twinkies and not the newly processed Twinkies of today, and also for the Twinkie lover who wants a staple supply of Twinkies with the company issues of recent. So now that the Twinkie segment is over, I think we're going to move on to marshmallows. Alrighty, I had everything out to make our Stay Puft marshmallows. We are going to start by going over the ingredients. So we need 3 packets of gelatin, a cup and a half of sugar, 1 cup corn syrup, just a pinch of salt, 1/4 of a teaspoon. We need 1 cup of cold water, but separated into 2 half cups. And then we are going to combine some powdered sugar, a 1/4 cup cornstarch, and a 1/4 cup powdered sugar, which is going to help us to deal with the stickiness of the marshmallows. So we are going to start by combining the gelatin in our mixer with a little bit of the cold water. This is a process called blooming, and it's going to allow the gelatin to mix with the warm ingredients. And I'm just going to stir that a little bit. There we go. Now I'm going to grease and prepare the pan, just so I don't have to worry about it later. So I'm just using a butter nonstick spray, and now I'm going to sift some of the corn powder, well, cornstarch and sugar. And I'm only going to use probably about 1/3 of it right now. I'm going to put a little extra in, and then I'll shake it up with a foil. Okay, now I'll set that aside. Okay, now in a small saucepan, I'm going to combine the rest of the ingredients. So, it's my corn syrup. Pushed a little too hard on that. Let's scrape it out. Okay. 1.5 cups sugar. And salt. And the cold water. Okay, I'm going to put this on a medium to high heat, and I'm going to let that cook for about 4 to 5 minutes, covered. Then we'll go to measuring with a candy thermometer. It needs to get up to 240 degrees before I can combine it with my other mixture. Okay, you're almost going to see these kind of bubbles forming, and that's when you know it's blooming, it's doing what you want it to do, and it'll be ready for the warm mixture as soon as the warm mixture is ready and reach that 240 degrees. Okay, so it's been about 4 minutes since I put the corn syrup sugar mixture on the stove. So now I'm taking off the cover and I'm putting a candy thermometer in there so that I can monitor it to when it goes up to 240 degrees. Right now it's at about 140, so we still have about 7 or 8 minutes to go. And just for further clarification, you don't want to use a flavored gelatin. You want to just use a plain, unflavored gelatin. Although you probably could use a different flavored gelatin and have flavored marshmallows, but that's up to you. Our corn syrup mixture has reached 240 degrees, so I'm going to take it off the heat. But be very careful because this is a very, very hot substance. And now I'm going to take it into the mixer. I'm going to take that gelatin mix on the bottom. It has bloomed. So I'm going to put it on stir. And then I'm going to try to just have this roll down the side. You really don't want to hit the mixture directly. Slowly add it. Okay. And now once it's all added, you're actually going to blast this up to top speed, and you're going to leave it on there for 13 to 15 minutes. 13 will give you softer marshmallows, 15 will give you a bit stiffer, chewier marshmallows. And just a minute before the time is up, you're going to want to add that last teaspoon of vanilla extract. So I'm going to blast this off now. my mixer and try to clean it up and get it to the pan as quickly as possible. And as you can see, it is pretty sticky. And I'm just going to smooth it out. And once I get it all out here, this is going to have to sit for at least 4 hours, preferably overnight, and just covered. So, when I got all the marshmallow in the prepared pan, now we just need to dust the top. Again, I'm going back to this powdered sugar and cornstarch mix, and this is just to prevent it being so sticky when we go to cut it. This is a 13 by 9 square pan. Having it be more square is going to be better to have more square marshmallows when you go to cut them. If you did want round marshmallows, you can take it directly from the mixer into a piping bag with the cornstarch and powdered sugar prepared, either a pan or wax paper, and then just as you squeeze it out, mix it with the powder, and then cut it as you're going. That'll give you mini marshmallows or round marshmallows depending on the diameter of the piping bag. But for now, I have my marshmallows all set in this pan and covered with the additional powdered sugar and cornstarch. And so now I'm leaving it covered for 4 hours, preferably overnight, before we can really cut it. And then when we go to cut it, we're just going to want to use some more of this mixture in between so that all the stickiness doesn't bother us. Welcome back to Cosplay Gourmet. We are still working on our Stay Puft marshmallows, as you can see. We have let the marshmallows sit overnight, and so now we are going to cut them. So, taking out my wrapper, and I'm just going to take this whole thing and drop it onto a cutting board. We have coated both sides with a powdered sugar and cornstarch mixture, and boom. Pretty simply, came out of the pan very nicely. So that's what you can expect if you coat these properly. So, I'm going to roll my sleeves a little bit here, and I'm going to use a pizza cutter to cut these, and I'm just going to try to dust them a little bit in the cornstarch sugar mixture. And I'm also going to put some of this in the storage container I'm going to put them in, because every piece is going to have to get coated in this. So when I go to cut this, all the exposed edges are going to need to get coated as well. So, let's start. We're going to cut these in about 1-inch squares, but again, that's something to your decision-making skills. And I can tell it's already going to be sticky, and I'm going to probably just keep going back and forth between this mixture and cutting. Not too bad though. Okay, slide this over. And now my exposed edges, it's going to dip in here, and now we have a nice square marshmallow. Like we said previously though, if you want to take that hot liquid right out of the mixture and put it into a piping bag to make round marshmallows, you could also do that and then just cut them as you're going. So you will notice these are much lighter, nicer texture than normal marshmallows that you buy in the store. They just taste fresher. You can tell that they're homemade. They got the love. So we're wrapping up the Marshmallow episode. We have our Stay Puft. We successfully made homemade marshmallows, cut them out, and if we cover these in the sealed container, they'll last up to 2 weeks. Possibly 3, but they'll be good either way. My attempt at building the form of the destructor came out a little bit Lego-y, but who doesn't enjoy that either? And then just drawing on him, I used just some edible writing markers. So that's everything, and thanks for tuning in.